For students, anxiety levels reach all-time highs as they prepare for end-year exams. Now, because we live in a world of winners and losers, the pressure to perform is heightened. It is a pressure that has pushed some to the edge and even as far as taking their own lives if they fail. But does the fact that you failed your KCPE or KCSE exam mean that you are a failure in life? How do we change the atmosphere that characterizes examination time? Well, I'll leave you with my earlier conversation with Dr. Wale Akinyemi, an author of 17 books and an organizational culture and transformation expert, and also joining the conversation, Kenya's youngest holder of a PhD in Biomathematics Dr. Ngina, who also lectures at Strathmore Institute of Mathematical Science. Take a look. All right, let's get right into the discussion. Dr. Wale, you come from a different generation, and we're talking during the break about how the expectation to perform was here. It was almost a given that failure was not in your vocabulary or that of your parents. And so it's kind of a culture that has persisted even now. Why do you feel that is? You know, we come from an African culture where overachievers are celebrated, you know, and especially when it comes to education. But why has it persisted till this point?
I think we confuse these kids because, like I was saying earlier on, when we were younger, failure was punished. I remember when I took a shot. Now I write books, I do all those things, but it wasn't always like this. When I first took my exams, I didn't do well. And so I was carted off to one very far away place to go and retake my papers. Failure was frowned at. Then I got into the real world. And you can imagine the shock when I hear people saying, you need to embrace failure, it's a part of life, it's a part of growth. Or when I was younger, if I didn't know the answer and I talked to my neighbor, it's called cheating. And it's punished. Then I get out and then they say teamwork, collaboration is the way. So we are confused and we are confusing the young people. You know, so I think we need to reappraise a lot of things. When my parents were in school, there was not much difference between schooling and education. They were one and the same. The teacher was the brightest person you knew. But today, there is a clear difference between schooling and education. Some of the brightest people, or most successful people, let's look at different fields, some of the best producers in this country didn't go to university. One of the, I know a very, very good producer, he learned it on YouTube.
Wow.
One of the, my daughter is doing very well in her makeup business. She learned it online. So you find people who are going to school but are being educated elsewhere. You know? And so that is part of the problem. So a lot of kids, we've just put them under so much pressure. You know, you look at the mental health situation around, every time results are announced, it's recruitment time for more people to join that crowd, you know. So I think we need to have another look at it. I studied different educational systems. Look at Finland, which has the best in the world. You look at Singapore. And one thing they have in common, the teacher is elite.
Wow.
In fact, for you to be a teacher in Finland, it's like scrambling. You know, the report I read, there were 100 spaces in the university and over 2,000 applications because the teachers are up there. Same thing in Singapore.
That is so interesting. And I guess holding teachers in high regard probably also makes a difference. Dr. Ngina, you've shared your story before on how you didn't do as well as you thought on your KCPE, and oftentimes many kids, because you're dealing with children, feel like they're complete failures for the rest of their lives based off of that result. Just talk through your personal experience, but also just the general impact it has on a child when they fail an exam like that.
For me, when I did my KCPE, I think I've shared this, I failed. I got 235 marks. According to anybody in this Kenya, that's a failure. That's a child who has no future. But my mom had seen the potential. She knew I was not a bad child.
Yeah.
So she encouraged me. And this is where parents really need to play a very important role, because they know the capability of their children. They have seen them grow. They know things can happen along the way. Maybe the school is not doing well. Maybe you're not the worst. Because I was IDEC 008, that means I was still among the top students. Maybe. At that time, the IDEX was based on the previous performance. It was not like now where I think it's different. Yeah. So I think the parents need really to ensure they support their children. The society will never be kind, because we want that best. We have not seen your child grow. We're going to criminalize your child and say he's a bad child, he's a fool, he's stupid, he's what. Those kind of words, you hear them. You realize that when the exam was out, people really had a summary. And the people who got 100, I don't know whether you saw that. They said these will be our MPs, our governors. I was like, is it that the people who deserve to be this?
Surely.
That message was like, for me, I looked at it in different way. What is the message? Yeah. Is it that these children cannot be anything? Is that the example, again, we are seeing from the people who are in our leadership, whatever? So I think as parents really have a very important role to play. And I'm a teacher now. I teach in the university. Of course, it's kind of different because these are young ones. These are a bit mature. They kind of know literally what they're doing and where they want to go. But you see, the problems are almost the same. When they fail, they feel really frustrated. And these are students who did well to join the university. So you can imagine a class 8. That is where we are seeing children taking their life, because the society and even from the parents, they're like, hey, you need to pass, you need to pass, you need to pass. And I mean, especially in the villages, the only people they have seen doing well are those that...
The performers.
Their parents maybe are employed because they worked well in school. Those were examples I was given by my parents, that, you know, that family is doing well because their children went to school, they followed education. They had not seen anybody else do very well in life. They didn't come to Nairobi where you can say someone in Juakali is doing well. And so in the villages, we need to really sensitize the people, the society, the surrounding, the parents really, to know that these children are not as bad as you think. And because we have 100% transition, which is good, now they can join high school. And within these 4 years, they can work themselves up, they can get skills. I mean, schooling is good. We cannot say that the system of education and what we have is bad, because that is where you gain many skills. You can read, you can communicate, you can calculate, you can do these things. But then education, most of the things that you learn there in school need to help you also to broaden your mind, to be inspired by other things, to analyze the things that are happening with you. Are these children ready to do that or able to do that? It's a failure as a teacher, because maybe for me, I tell them it is 1 + 1 is equals to 2. And I don't give them room to even make mistakes and to see 2 in a different way. They only know that this is it. If it is not like this, it's never going to be right.
You know, Dr. Wale, let me bring you in here, because when you're 13, 14, you get the results, you didn't do as well, and that moment renders you a failure. But for the kid at that time, they're thinking, this completely shifts my course in life. I'm done. How does one separate the two as just a moment and not defining your life?
That's where a very strong support system, family, friends, church, name it, the support system is very important. I looked at a lot of these kids now, and we decided we're going to have a program to just inspire kids, you know, and let them know it's not the end of the world. And show them a lot of people like me who, at that point, it looked like it was the end of the world, but hey, it's not the end of the world. And I think that's very, very important. But also, just like Dr. said, we focus so much on the logical aspect of teaching. We focus on teaching, not much emphasis on learning. Okay? So, as long as the teacher has done what he thinks he's supposed to do, we're okay. Whereas, if you look at some of these other models that work so well, the emphasis was on learning. In Finland, they even took it to a whole new level. They do 3 hours on the average per school day.
Really?
Yes. There's no homework. And joy and fun is part of the curriculum, because they believe what you learn in an atmosphere of joy, you're likely to retain. So their emphasis is not on the teaching, but the fact that you are learning. And I think that is very, very important. And again, you know, so these kids that come and think it's the end of the world, but you see, they've been trained in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They've been trained in a logical sequence, that life follows a logical sequence. When they now get to a place where their life is not following a logical sequence, they don't know what to do. And so I think it's very important that the aspect of creative thinking, which is saying that, you know what, yes, there is that sequence, but, and one of the very intriguing things about life is that many people who are so schooled in the sequence, they become the A students. Those who are not too good in that, who ask questions, who say, you know, 2 + 2 is 4. Why? Now, you find out that those who ask those questions, who think that way, may not do so well at that 2, 4, 6, 8 level, but when they get out, they are better equipped to handle a world that does not follow a logical sequence. And so you find out that maybe this kind of person would, because he knows my results are bad, nobody is going to employ me, so he's creative. What can I do? He starts a business. And then when the business grows to a particular place, guess what he needs? He needs a logical thinker.
Which he can hire.
To manage it. So he now brings in the A student to manage the process.
That is amazing. And it totally changes our thinking on what success is.
Absolutely.
You know, at the end of it all. But Dr. Ngina, for a child who's watching you today, right, and they're thinking, I'm where you were. Okay, I have those results. I'm looking at my failure right there, and I'm trying to process it, and I'm trying to get to where you are. How do they do it practically in terms of, one, shifting their thinking, but now doing and becoming that success that they see in their minds? They know they can do it, but they just haven't done it on paper.
I mean, most of the time, and if, like for me when I failed, because there were many other things. I was analyzing my family. I'm the second born in a family of 2, where one person was not taken to any higher level of education because my mom was poor. And many children really are defined by those small things, like my mom cannot do this, my family cannot do this. You forget what yourself you can do, because you're looking at what the society is saying, what the family is saying. Even if they're not telling you, it is loudly written somewhere, I cannot take you anywhere. As much as we want to say everyone go to high school, they'll need to pay something. If the parents cannot, of course the children feel disappointed. But my message is, you didn't do well. This is not the end of life. You still have the next 4 years to make a difference. And making a difference is for yourself. So you have to really get to focus on who you are. What do you want for yourself? Why is it important for you to get there? Because all of us have different things we want in life. I really want to become a professor. I want it. I need to get to know why. And how do I get there? So even these children need to get to the level where they know getting to the level of they're not really babies. They're going to high school. Things will be different, of course, but we need to encourage them to continue working hard. Yeah. We cannot say that because whether you pass or you don't pass, you can be successful. They need to get that good grade that will get them to a university, which will equip them with more skills. Because for me, schooling gives you skills that can be applied in wherever other field you want to venture into. And so it is very, very important for them to focus on themselves and start doing something, get to live a life that has a purpose.
Wow.
I think that is very important.
Incredible. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Dr. Wale and Dr. Ngina. But one thing I can tell you in terms of being a young person, even if you failed, the one resource you do have that we're out of is time. And make sure you use that to rectify what you feel are failures. Sometimes it's just lessons to get it better next time. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.